Is measles something we should be worried about right now?
Well, I think as the measles is an illness that we actually thought we eradicated in this country a few years ago. Measles is the most communicable disease one can find. Actually, if one person has measles, up to 20 people in the immediate vicinity can actually come down with it.
Is it time to panic?
I think it's more of a question of more of what questions are you going to be asking yourself in sort of protecting your family. Are you doing everything you can? So it's a little different situation with Ebola, where there was a concern about a very rare disease with travelers. This is something domestic. It's around us. And there are enough unvaccinated people that, as this case has illustrated, a single case can spread to 100 other people. We've not seen that with Ebola in the U.S., and this is airborne. So it's not something you can necessarily say that you can protect yourself against, because people with measles can be infectious from 4 days before the onset of fever and rash to 4 days afterwards. So I think it's not a question of panic so much as making really good decisions.
When I think of measles, I think of getting it as a child and that kind of thing. Is it something that's not necessarily just children that can get it, because anybody could get it, right?
That's correct. If you're not immune or protected against it, you can get it at any age. And so, in fact, the people who have worst outcomes are those who are under 5 years of age or those over 20. So people who get measles in those age groups tend to have more complications.
Is it something that if you've had measles before, you can't get it again?
That's correct. It's unlikely once you have measles, you tend to have immunity. It's not to say it can never happen again. There are people who have poor immune systems who may be at risk. But in general, once you've had measles, you have lifelong immunity.
My situation is I've never had chickenpox, so I did go and get a vaccine for chickenpox. Someone like myself, I haven't had measles. Should I go and get vaccinated?
If the people for whom it's recommended to get a vaccine are those who really don't know whether they received the measles vaccine or not, even a single dose. But definitely high risk groups include people who are either school-aged children, or people who work in healthcare, or those who are exposed to others, if you have small children at home, for example. And so it's worth asking the question, did you receive the vaccine, even a single dose? And if you're not in one of those risk groups, probably you don't need another dose. If you don't recall ever getting any, then it's worth actually getting a shot, even if you're in a low-risk group.
What exactly does it look like when you have measles?
So that's a really good question, because many of us, even among our healthcare workers, are not used to seeing measles anymore. We've not seen it because it's become so infrequent because of the vaccine efficacy. So the typical symptoms of measles are basically what starts off with a flu-like illness, but then you develop a rash that usually starts in the head and goes to the extremities, the arms and chest and back, and you feel miserable. And of course you can be infectious, so you have to be quarantined until the illness passes. And it's not a pleasant illness, and there are complications that can occur. In children, for example, there may be complications with ear infections. 1 in 1,000 children with measles may die because of measles. Pneumonia is a complication. So these are serious complications that can be avoidable. People often think of these diseases as being very benign without any side effects, but that's not the case. There can be developmental problems in children who've had measles as well. Risk to pregnant women with delivering low birth weight infants. So these are not benign illnesses.
It's time to really get serious and step up.
That's right.